chasing a road to glory, driven since I was a child.
If you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, work day and night for it.
All right, making it through traffic, Houston, Wednesday morning. Sorry, home Memorial Day's got me all thrown off kilt here. So one of the things that I did in my podcast today, talking about leadership, is to be able to be vulnerable and to be able to make sure that we're talking about empowerment, that as leader, our value is how we can help individuals lead. And the old adage of it's got to be done right, it's got to be done by me, is completely false. It's broken. It doesn't work. Our value as leaders is purely based on our ability to lead a group of individuals towards a singular goal, vision, project, tasks. That is our value as leaders. So we need to be able to allow our employees, our team, to be able to run with and leverage their strengths and not hinder them. Hopefully their strengths masks our weaknesses as leaders. We have to ask ourselves as leaders, how are we doing empowering our employees? Sherm's out. Hey there, everybody. Hope you're doing great. Let's clean that screen. There we go. It's a little bit oily from my face. That's what happens with a face. Got to the office, had a 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock conference call talking about some of the marketing that they're going to be doing from the corporate office for our team. And then from 10 to 12, got in on more of a strategic call. It's actually a seminar that we can do, so they're going to give us the information on that. And so that'll be kind of cool to be able to roll with that. And then worked through lunch and had one-on-one with Brenda, one-on-one with Peter. Heading home. Son's being recognized for some good scores at school. And let's go. Sherm's out. Hey there, everybody. Hope you're doing great. Sherm here. Had some great conversations the last few times. Sometimes I wish I had a vlog of a videographer following me, just because there's some good stuff that I end up saying. Does that sound really egotistical? It probably does, but nonetheless. So I was just talking to my brother-in-law about a job, and I said, what you want to be able to do from a career perspective is you want to be able to entertain every company that will give you an interview and move them as far along as possible if it seems like that's something that you want to do. Even if you don't feel 100% convinced that that's exactly what you want to do for the rest of your life, for the rest of your career, at least get your foot in the door and start moving them down. Almost every company today is going to have 2 to 5 interviews before they send you an offer letter, and nobody's offered you a position until they said, here's the salary, this is when we want you to start, here's our compensation package, sign here. Whether that's via email or an actual Word document. All those things are extremely crucial to be able to make sure that you get all those things buttoned up and to be able to make sure that you're able to move forward in a way that's meaningful in those interviews. The other thing to think about as well is it's going to be a lot easier if you have, let's say, 4 offers. You either can leverage one over the other. You can say, candidly speaking, I'm looking at a couple other banks and they're willing to pay me this dollar amount. I want to work with you. I like the company culture here. Are you able to sweeten the pot any? Are you able to bend any on your compensation? And so sometimes they will or they won't come your way. The other opportunity when it comes to having more opportunities is then you can identify culturally what seems to be the right fit for you. Not every company, not every manager, not every not all the coworkers are going to be best for your personality to bring out your best strengths and your best talents. And so you can then decide and not feel like you're at the mercy of an organization. You are now in the driver's seat. And so that was a good conversation. Prior to that, when I was speaking with Brenda one-on-one here, before I leaving the office, we were just reviewing kind of how things were going, her activity. We look at activity on a daily basis, what's going well, what's not going well, what training do you need, and one of the tough things when you're entrepreneurial is you have to give yourself some kind of deadline in order to make ends meet. And so the moment that you give yourself that deadline, then you can start figuring out how you can kind of start moving forward. And it doesn't mean that you're completely walking away from your entrepreneurial pursuits, but you're identifying, okay, I need to do something in order to make ends meet, in order for me to be able to provide for either myself or my family
and each of us knows that we have certain needs and wants, and so you got to identify what those are and be able to know when that timeline is. Plus, it helps your significant other, if you have one, or anyone that's supporting you, kind of know that there's a deadline here. And I wouldn't stop pursuing it. I would just figure out how to mix it in to what you're doing. So you might decide you're going to go work third shift, stocking shelves in order to keep, the wolves away, have, the mug budget covered, the mortgage, utility, and groceries. And then you're gonna work from 9 o'clock at night till 6 in the morning, and then you're gonna sleep from 6 to 12, and then you're gonna wake up. And then from 12 to 5, you're gonna run your thing, right? So, and again, understand how much sleep you need. I'm not telling you how much you need to have. I'm just telling you that for a lot of people, if they really want what they want, they'll do whatever it takes. That sounds like a good Instagram post. Let's go put that up. Sherm's out. All right, this is a post for a lot of the entrepreneurs out there. I know for a lot of people, they want to give themselves some kind of deadline, and I find that to be healthy, right? So if you decide to do some entrepreneurial pursuits and it's just not working out, that's totally okay to be able to figure out, because we all have needs, right? We all have wants, we all have budgets, and so sometimes it's just, how can I still do my entrepreneurial pursuits, cover the mortgage, utility, groceries? It might mean that you're stocking shelves and from a 9 p.m. at night till 6 in the morning, and then you're gonna sleep from 6 until 12 or 6 until 3, and then you're gonna then reload, and then you're gonna run your entrepreneurial pursuits from 5 to 8 o'clock at night, and then you're gonna go run to the job that's gonna be able to keep the mortgage, utility, and groceries still coming in. And so it doesn't mean that you need to abandon your hobby or your pursuits of entrepreneurism. If you decide that you have a deadline, just figure out how to get what you want. Sherm's out. Hey there, entrepreneurs, this is for you. So if you have an entrepreneur that you know, tag them in this. Sometimes you might want to give yourself a deadline, that if you don't get your entrepreneur pursuits and you're doing it full time by a certain date, then you're going to go do something in order to make ends meet. And it might mean that you're working a third shift at a grocery store, bagging, stocking shelves from 9 p.m. until 6 a.m. and then you're going to sleep from 7 to 3, and then you're going to reload and go do some of your entrepreneurism, and from 4 to 8, and then you're going to go work that third shift in order to cover the mug budget, mortgage, utility, and groceries. And so it doesn't mean that you're going to abandon your entrepreneurial pursuits or your passion project, but you're going to look at different ways to be able to make sure that you can keep all of your needs being met. And so only you know how much sleep that you need. Only you know what that deadline would look like. You don't have to abandon it. You can have it all. Sherm's out. All right, IGTV, here we go. Here's some interview tips for those of you that are interviewing at jobs. Number one is, the more interviews that you have, the better. Be prepared. Look up, Google up the top 25 questions. Know exactly the specific answers that you're going to give, the specific examples that you want to use to be able to highlight your strengths, your weaknesses, your desires. Where do you want to go? Do some research. Know ahead of time the company that you're interviewing. Know ahead of time maybe the role. Do some research if you can of the individual that you'll be interviewing with. You can look them up on LinkedIn to be able to find out more about the organization, about the people that you'll be interviewing with. The next one is, it's better to be a half hour early than 1 minute late. So make sure that you give yourself enough time, maneuver around traffic, maneuver around different buses or different public forms of transportation, and then dress the part. So I think a lot of times people, they want to be more casual, but again, it's better to dress in a tie and a suit. If it's business casual, then come in jeans and a t-shirt, and that becomes extremely helpful. Next is, be prepared. Know some questions that you want to ask the interviewer, and you can write them down if you want to be able to make sure that you have them on the fresh top of your mind. Some great questions would be, what's the training process like? What's the day in the life of? What's the next role after I've mastered this one? How would you describe the culture here at the company? And after you've done those things, you can start having a look at what you can be doing to prepare to have a leave away, a handwritten note, a deck to be able to show why you're the best candidate. Hopefully that's helpful. Sherm's out.
Every single time, bitch, you running through my mind. I be locked in, loaded. Nobody safe around me.